For context, I work at a dog salon part-time, full-time student, and I often schedule new appointments for clients. We have a lot of clients who specifically need Saturdays because they work all day and we close pretty early, like between 3 and 4. So we tend to have the same groups of dogs every 5 to 6 weeks. Yesterday we had the normal doodle and corgi group, as we call it, because we have a lot of doodles and an adorable corgi, but with an added yoke. I personally bathed this Yorkie and she was a doll, perfectly behaved and let me do basically whatever, except nails, but we expect that from Yorkies. When the mom showed me to pick up the Yorkie after her groom, I happened to be free and went to check them out. When I asked if she needed another appointment booked, she said yes and requested 6 weeks out. Standard. I ask if she needs a Saturday and she says no. She needs a Friday. Fine by me. Need a specific time? First thing in the morning, 8 o'clock. I tell her that the date she's looking at is booked in the morning, but I can go a week before or after if she really needs a Friday. Here comes the entitlement. EM. What does name of boss and owner of the shop have in the morning? Me. Looks like a Shih Tzu. Happened to be my dog, but I didn't tell her that. Well, that Shih Tzu can wait. My precious Bella needs that appointment. Me. I'm sorry, ma'am, but I just can't reschedule a dog's appointment. This person happens to schedule appointments throughout the year, so he's at it since December. I know this because, again, it's my dog and my grandpa makes the appointments. EM. Getting louder. I don't care. I want that spot. At this point, one of my coworkers, will call her Kay, comes out to see if I need any help. Now, I have very bad anxiety, so this lady yelling at me was causing me to visibly shake, and I was close to having a panic attack. Kay saw this and said she'd take over and whispered for me to get our boss. I did, and then I went into the bathroom to quietly freak the hell out and hyperventilate in peace. My boss ended up scheduling the woman out for 5 weeks and telling her that if she ever yells at one of her team members again, she'll have no choice but to blacklist the woman. She knows I have bad anxiety and she's absolutely amazing. Moral of the story, don't be an ass to a small business owner and expect to get your way. Not about the EDM, but about your Yorkie comment. Our Yorkie or toy poodle is great about grooming, loves pets, and you can touch him anywhere. Once you pull out the nail clippers, a switch goes off and he goes full on crazy like we're trying to shank him to death. The vet has given him meds to take before bringing him to the office for appointments because it upsets him so much his throat swells and then he can't breathe. His whole mouth turned blue once. It was so bad, so scary. I'm asking if you have any tips or advice. He's 61 and a half, his name is Chewy, and other than a pedicure hater, he's a good boy. Your boss is a nice person. I'd have told the EW to leave and never come back. I have anxiety too. It doesn't flare up in situations like this, and I have no problems telling people off, but I know how hard anxiety can be and hope you're okay. Screw anxiety and screw people like this. I hope working with dogs has helped. Really needed to vent. This has been ongoing for the better part of a year, and it came to a boiling point today. First, my ex and I are close. She's my best friend, and in all honesty, the relationship will always be the end because she didn't want me to put through losing her, and her friend convinces her it's for the best. Really, I didn't want a divorce and will always love her. She was born with a heart defect. She's a petite woman, and after 2 years of the virus and many other obstacles, she was approved for heart surgery to hopefully fix the problem. Long story short, I have been spending a lot of time in the hospital this past week while she's prepared for the surgery. I was with her today and one of the nurses came in to talk about a do not resuscitate order. She's only 30. I asked what the hell is this about. To be honest, I was fighting to keep my cool, so apparently my ex and her power of attorney spoke with a nurse and she convinced her to add it because, the quality of life is important. I asked my ex when she changed the power of attorney. I thought I was, and she said she hasn't changed it. So the entire story is her friend Kathy was at the hospital and stuck her nose in where it didn't belong. Completely lied to the nurses and spoke for my ex who bullied her into liking it. I am the power of attorney. My ex is a quiet, shy, little soft-spoken woman who can't handle confrontation. I took today off work to sit at the hospital to eat for that bitch Kathy. and she showed up and I confronted her about making medical decisions for my ex. Her excuse was, oh, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. You can't stop God from taking her angles back, and it's just the right thing for her to take over as power of attorney because she has children and my ex would want the money going to her kids. Because it's the best thing for my ex and Kathy's kids. At this point, I am pissed off. I asked my ex, is this what you really want? If it is, I'm cool with it, but she told me it's not at all. She's so young and doesn't want to die. Well, I told Kathy she's not welcome anymore. She's not to step 1 foot back in this hospital to see my ex. She screamed at me saying I have no business, that she's gonna do what the hell she wants. I didn't mention I'm a big man. Not fat at all, but 220 pounds at about 13% body fat. I put one hand on a shoulder and the other one on the other and picked her up and removed her from the hospital. I walked her to the elevator like she was a toddler having a tantrum and pressed the call button for the elevator, plopped her in, and pressed the button. All the nurses note that women are not allowed to see my ex. Just needed to get this off my chest, really pissed off. Edit. Yeah, my spelling and grammar sucks. I know I'm not that smart. I know your linguistic skills are far greater than mine. Get that poison changed back ASAP. You are heading for court proceedings if your friend passes in the near future, and you will be in even more difficulty if not. Also, screenshot this post with the date as you may need it one day. Very important to get your experienced account of how Kathy treated her and if she had agreed for her stuff to go to Kathy's kids. Wow, that woman tried to get your ex's money in case she died and she made everything she could so if something happens, it really is happening. She's not a friend to your ex, she's just a leech. Good thing you were there for your ex. You couldn't save your marriage from the poison she was spewing to your ex, but at least you were able to keep in touch. I think this was her whole plan. Step 1, get your ex to divorce you. Step 2, scheme and manipulate your ex to follow her plan. And step 3, profit. I hate to be the one to bring this up at the time, but you might want to look into your ex's finances. Are there any life insurance policies? Who's the beneficiary? This stinks to high heaven, and some investigating needs to be done. Also, this is hard, but talk to your ex and tell her how much you love her and you want her in your life till the end. Pour your heart out, because I guarantee she feels lost and alone, and Kathy has fed into it. Next story. So yesterday my husband came back from visiting his family, and to my surprise, he brought his family back with him. I haven't seen them since Christmas, so it was nice to see my father-in-law, stepmother-in-law, and all my 3 sister-in-laws, my brother-in-law, his girlfriend, stepsister-in-law, and stepbrother-in-law. I like them because they're not dicks. I missed my husband, and he got me some dinosaur socks and food. My boss, my UIL, and my father-in-law were in a band once, so watching them go through and singing their old music was entertaining to watch them go through their nostalgia. My father-in-law and stepmother-in-law are really excited for the babies because they're their first grandchildren and we have 3 of them. It's like an amazing experience for them, and if anyone cares about the names, Warlock, Adrian, and Lazuli. I really like my step-MIL, but the one thing that annoys me about my stepmother-in-law is that she doesn't knock. I thought my sister-in-law was being dramatic about how her stepmom doesn't knock. She was not lying because last night I was changing my shirt because I vomited on it and she just walked right in. This happened 3 times and 3 times she didn't knock, and she walked in and didn't goddamn knock. She won't admit it, but my stepmother-in-law thinks knocking on someone's door is a privilege. When I asked her to stop, she said, "Why? We're both women." And my father-in-law asked her to knock and she said, "It's okay, she doesn't mind it." But I said I do mind, my stepmother-in-law reminding me that she's the grandmother to her grandchildren. Then she did it to my husband and he was pissed. Then at like 6 in the morning, we'll try to have sex, and then she walked in and did a knock. So why did I bring this up? 2 hours ago, the family was going grocery shopping and I was about to go, but I acted like I was sick so I didn't have to go. And my husband stayed back with me because I wasn't allowed to be home by myself. My boss looked at us with a stinky face, already knowing why we were staying behind. As soon as those people left, me and my husband got down and dirty. Now, due to my PTSD, I can't be a receiver. I would start crying and freaking out, so 90% of the time my husband is the receiver, if you catch my drift. We actually both enjoy it, but the Charlie horses suck dick. So we're about an hour, and then all of a sudden, the door came flying open, and I saw my stepmother-in-law, and it was like that, and it was kind of like that meme, trapped in the drive-thru. He looks at me, I look at him, he looks at me, I look at him, he looks at me, and I look at him. We were staring at each other, me, her, and my husband. I just got up from my husband, walked to the door, and slowly pushed her out and locked the door. I don't know why she stared for so long. Maybe she was in shock because it's not every day you see your stepson wearing a bra and a mini skirt, rocking thigh-high stockings and getting his ass pounded out by his pregnant wife. Sadly, my rhythm got ruined after that, so we just cleaned up and went downstairs. My mother-in-law could not look me in the eye. Well, we helped with groceries, and when we were done, she was in a catatonic-like state to a point where she made my father-in-law concerned and asked if she was okay because she looked weird. My mother-in-law looked at me and her face completely turned red and she immediately looked away. Then my husband said, "Yeah, she didn't knock." My boss burst out laughing and father-in-law recoiled because he knew what the sight looks like and it's not pretty. The poor little lady, her little Christian heart couldn't handle it. But it works, because just 12 minutes ago she knocked on my door asking me if she would help me with cookies. 2 things you need to learn out of the situation: knock on the door and make sure you have your timing right, because I was expecting them to be back in once in an hour and 30 minutes. Also, lock the door. Next story. I-21F introduced my mom to a community farming sim game on the iPad last year, just as something we could play together in lockdown. However, things have taken quite the turn. She very quickly progressed in the game and loved playing it and would often buy in-game currency to boost her progress. It didn't take her too long, however, to get to a point in the game where she couldn't further her progress because she was waiting on other people in our community to catch up to her, and so she turned to playing from my account on my iPad as well to try and get things happening a bit quicker. At first, I didn't mind so much because I knew she was enjoying it, but now I wish I'd never shown her this game. A couple months ago, it came to a head because I got sick of her constantly using my iPad during the university semester, which I actually bought myself last year as a study tool. It got so bad that even on days where I was using my iPad for multiple hours of studying and reading, she was smashing my screen time with the time in the game. We ended up having a big argument, with my main issue being her waking me up at 5 or 6 a.m. every morning to take my iPad and play, even though she knows I don't sleep most nights until 4 a.m. I was very quickly getting sick of constantly being woken up, so I revoked her privilege and changed the password on my iPad. Skip to now, I have to let her use it again for this game. Not often at all, and she has been good with giving my iPad back to me up until last night. She took my iPad to bed with her, and so when I went to bed at 3:30 a.m. and wanted to use it to watch some YouTube before sleeping, it was nowhere to be found. I figured after all the time she's woken me up at ridiculous times from my iPad, she could have a small taste of her own medicine. So I went into her room and took it from her bedside table. Unfortunately, I wasn't loud enough to wake her up. Anyway, now it's almost 7 a.m. and we've spent 40 minutes arguing. Actually feels like a lot more. She's bullying me to try and get it over my iPad because she wants it back, but I want to sleep. I've told her multiple times that I paid for my iPad, and just because she has bought the in-game currency on my account doesn't mean she can use my iPad whenever she wants. I never asked her to buy it and don't play the game often enough to really need it. Anyway, now I've put a screen time limit on the game, so even if she gets her hands on it, again, she can't use it for more than 1 minute, and the screen time limit has a different password that she doesn't know. This way is best because I can still play the game on the same account from my phone, and she won't take it because the phone screen makes things too small for her to see. Anyway, that's kind of the end of it. Just thought I'd share this little tiff with my mom. If anyone has any advice, then feel free to let me know. Next story. Just when you think you can't possibly face an entitled parent in the wild, you catch a glimpse. So yesterday I was at the club playing 8-ball, and just a minute or two later, a mother-daughter duo walked in. The daughter was around 6 to 7, the club was pretty empty, so the daughter occupied the foosball table while the mother sat in a corner browsing the web. A good half an hour passes, and then 4 boys around the age group of 7 to 12 walk in and ask the daughter if they could play on the table. Now, if you've ever played foosball, you would know that there are allegedly 4 numbers of maximum people needed to play. So they start playing. After a minute or so, the mother notices and calls for her daughter. I couldn't help but hear their conversation. As I was standing too close to them, it went like, Mother, what's happening? Name of daughter, why aren't they letting you play? Daughter, they're saying that they will go on in 15 minutes. Till then, I will wait. Mother, no, you tell them that they either let you play or they can get out. At this point, I realized that this was a certified Karen. Daughter, okay, but they will go in sometime though. EM, no, you tell them now. So the daughter goes over to the boys and commands them to either let her play or leave. That convo went like, daughter in a rude tone, hi, you either let me play or you get out. Boys pretty astonished by the tone. Yeah, can you wait? We'll leave in a few minutes. Let us finish this game. Now the daughter was pretty innocent, so she didn't know what to do next. The mother was listening to the whole conversation silently and interrupted when she noticed that their daughter wasn't answering. EM to the boys, don't you boys understand? She was here before you, so you let her play or you can get out of here. Don't go around snatching little girls' games. Now the boys were pretty scared, as young boys should be, when a gremlin in the height of a human yells at them with their full strength. The eldest one, around 11 to 12, replied, we asked her, she allowed us to play. EM, I don't care, you should leave. Now everyone, including the daughter and me, were pretty terrified. Hell, even the security guard was watching from a distance. Before he could interfere, the boys decided it was best to leave the scene. Two of them were on the brink of crying. Now successful Karen returned to her resting place. She gave me the glare as if she wanted me to leave too, but hey, I'm always ready to perform fatalities on Karens, so I didn't leave. Now the daughter was pretty embarrassed, so she went to her mother after 2 to 3 minutes of playing, asking her to go home. They left. I'm all in for teaching your child to stand up for themselves, but goddamn, you can't teach shit to your child by being a turd to others.